Hey, how's your week been? How has this week been in the beautiful January? I've had a really good week. I've been writing. I've been writing a lot. But I gave up a day of writing to attend a funeral. Now, I love funerals, actually. I love them. I've done a bit of funeral celebrancy in my time. And the reason I love funerals is I think they're really important. I think they're incredibly important. I think that honouring someone as a last soiree is really important. I like actually the whole process. And a lot of people, since the pandemic sort of stopped having funerals and then funerals became a nuisance and people were like, oh, we're just going to have a private one or we're not going to have one at all. And I think there's a lot to be said about the process. So the process, for those of you who've put together funerals before, will know what it's like. You end up in this kind of shock, even if you expected the person to die. There's kind of a holy shit, it's happened, and wow, what do we do now? And then there's a gathering of humans, and there's a gathering of opinions, which is always interesting. Opinions about how this should go and what it should and shouldn't have. And I'm a really firm believer that people should talk about funerals. Tell people what you want. Tell people, I want a massive soiree. I want no funeral. I want a tiny private funeral. I want this person to talk. I want that song. Because the pressure it puts on the people left behind is enormous. And I know that when a friend of mine's husband died, the children were at sixes and sevens about what they wanted. And the three of them had three different ideas about what their father's funeral should look like. And of course, when you're already stressed and you're already in grief and you're already in shock, you can start arguing, and that's kind of not cool. It's not what you need. So having a bit of an idea about what people want is a really bloody good place to start. But if someone drops dead, it's a bit late to ask them, isn't it? So then you're left to whatever you can do. You're left to whatever you've got. And I think it's an interesting time. I think keeping the person in the box as the main act is really important, because people go, no, but I want this and I want that. I'm like, not about you. What about the person in the box, right? What do they want? What would they have liked? Because it's actually all about them. And I really love funerals because I'm really big on honouring. I'm really big on respect, and I'm really big on rituals. And I just really, really, really like them. So this funeral I went to was a friend of my son's, actually, grandmother, and we went along, and I didn't really know her terribly well, but I like to go to funerals even if I don't know the people. That's just how weird I am, because you get a piece of understanding about that person. You kind of get to know what that looks like. And I think that's really interesting. So we went along to this funeral, and my son hasn't been to many funerals, so I was kind of talking him through it, and that was kind of funny in itself, I thought. It was an interesting, because he's like, why do they do that? Why is that there? Why is that here? And I was like, wow, you really haven't done many of these, which I guess is a good thing. But getting good at funerals, he said, oh, I don't really like funerals. I'm like, mate, you don't have any choice. People die, right? Get with the program. He said, oh, you're really good at funerals. I said, yeah, I am. You've got to be really good, I believe, at things that happen all the time. Get good at funerals because people are going to die. I'm really good at cooking because I really like to eat, right? Really good at earning money because I love to spend. It's like, find the things that are going to happen in your life and just get good at them. I'm really good at dressing myself because I have to do it every bloody day. People that go, I don't know what to wear, I don't know how to dress myself. I'm like, mate, look it up. There's lots of resources. So I think it's interesting when people aren't good at things that are part of life. I find that really interesting. That's a whole nother conversation. But we're on funerals today. So I like the idea of rituals. I like the idea. I'm really interested in what people wear at funerals. In the old days, you wore black. Or you at least got dressed. You got dressed up formally. So if you were at work, you went home and got changed into something appropriate. Now people turn up in work boots and high vis, and, they're just rocking up any way, shape or form, shorts, T-shirts. I'm like, oh, wow, really? The last soiree, I reckon they deserve you to put your number ones on, don't you think? If I die, please put your number ones on. I'm actually going to have a parade and a glass top box, and oh my God, it's going to be extraordinary. But, I think pay some respect to the person who has died. Wear what they would appreciate. If your grandmother loved you dressed up, then get dressed up. If your grandmother loved you in a dress, wear a dress. If your grandmother loved flowers, wear something floral. Like, just think about the person, because the whole point is honouring them. But in the process of that, you get to learn a lot, right? You get to learn a lot about the person. You get to learn a lot about the process. And there's all the sitting around, there's the gathering photos. It feels like a lot of work, but it's actually incredibly healing. And you're gathering together and forced to deal with people you maybe don't even like that you're related to. That happens, right? And you're going through the process of what are the photos, what are the memories, what's your favorite memory of this person, what's their favorite song, what's the song you remember them by. Like, there's so many questions. One day I'm going to put together a guide, because I do think they're important, funerals. I do love them. I love them. I've said that though. So I think the ritual is important. I think the honouring's important. And, we watched 3 songs worth of photographs of a woman who I'd met once very briefly. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful. I got to see how loved she was. I got to see how passionate she was. I got to see how gorgeous she was. We need photos, people. Make sure you have photos. And if someone wants to take your photo, just let them. You might pop your clogs. You need beautiful photos. Make the most of every opportunity to get beautiful photos. Just lean in, smile, and get on with it. If you're standing in a photo going, I don't like my photo taken, and you're pulling weird faces, you always look like an idiot in photos. And people say, oh, I look stupid in photos. Yeah, you do, because you're not trying very hard, are you? Right? You're not trying very hard. So lean into the photos, because I think they're important, right? Lean into memories, because they're important. Lean into honouring. How do you honour this person? By creating something that is truly memorable. Now, I've been to 2 funerals quite recently, actually, in the last month, of 2 people I didn't know very well personally. So I was there out of respect for their relative that I knew. And what I loved is both of these funerals, I walked away going, didn't know that person very well, but what I do know is they would have fucking loved this funeral. They would have loved it, right? The other thing I like at funerals is clapping. Clapping's funny, isn't it? Especially in churches. People are a bit like, oh, am I allowed to clap? You know what? Clap. It's really important to clap. There's these wee grandchildren standing up, speaking. A great-grandson sang at this funeral. He was bloody divine. And it's like, just give the kid a round of applause. People get very sensible when they're in a grief state. They get all somber. And I'm like, no, clap loudly. Like, when someone does a beautiful speech, clap. Because in any other situation you would clap, but everyone's too scared to enjoy themselves. And it's like, no, don't be scared. You are meant to enjoy yourself. You're meant to go, oh my God, this is beautiful. It's like the show reel of the human you loved, a funeral. It's a 1-hour highlight reel of their lives. So think about what you want in your funeral. Think about your mother's funeral, your father's funeral. What are you going to do for them when they pass? What are you going to do? What does that look like? I think it's worth having those conversations. And every time I leave a funeral, I go, oh, there's someone else I'm going to have a conversation with about their funeral that's come into my mind, who may be unwell, or maybe, I don't know, just close to God. I don't know. Someone that's getting close to the edge. And I always think about something else that I would like. And one of the coolest things I've ever seen was, there was a woman whose funeral I attended, and she had a secret mayonnaise recipe. And mayonnaise was her thing. And every time anyone went to her house, they'd say, will you give me the recipe? And she'd say, no, you can have it when I'm dead. On her funeral service, on the back, it had her mayonnaise recipe, Julie's mayonnaise. It was her parting gift to the world. Isn't that cool? I just love that. Parting gift to the world. What would you have on the service sheet? It gets to be all about you. I did a service, and when I spoke to all the grandchildren, I said to them all, what's your favourite memory of Granddad? What did you love about Granddad? And all of the children separately said jelly snakes. They all said, we love jelly snakes. He always had jelly snakes. He always gave us a jelly snake. He would sneak a jelly snake into our pocket before we left. So at the funeral, the grandchildren got up and, just like the air hostesses on a plane, handed out baskets of jelly snakes. And there were people leaving the service going, I'm never going to eat a jelly snake again and not think of Paul. I'm always going to eat jelly snakes now to remember Paul. And I just love that. It's the little things, right? It's the mayonnaise. It's the jelly snake. It's whatever the little things are. And being remembered is just beautiful. I love that saying that you die twice. The first time you actually die, and the second time when no one speaks your name any longer. And it's like being remembered for little fun things make funerals amazing because they're so healing and they feel like a lot of work and they feel stressful and they feel exhausting and they feel hard. You know, I was talking to the eldest daughter of this woman whose funeral I was at, and she said, "Oh, thank you so much for coming." And I said, "Oh, how are you going? It's a big day and, everything looks beautiful and I'm sure your mum would be delighted with everything you've done." And she said, "Oh, I'm just trying really hard to hold it together." And I grabbed her arm and I said, "You don't have to hold it together. Your mother's died. Your mother's died. If there's ever a time to bawl your eyes out and fall about, it's then, you know?" So, and it's like it's okay to fall apart. We're so scared of emotions, aren't we? We're so stoic, like, "Oh, yes, I'm fine. How are we going? Oh, yes, good, good." What do you mean you're fine? Your mother just bloody died. Being fine is not the goal. Right? Feeling into it is the goal. Feeling into, oh my God, like I don't know how I'm going to move forward without my mum. That's a more honest statement, right? I'm devastated and I'm doing my best, but it's okay to fall apart. It's okay. And I think the other thing that I see all the time at funerals, when people speak, they should have a number two. You need an understudy, someone to stand behind you and just put their hand on your back if it gets a bit tricky, someone that can lean into it. If you really lose the plot, they can take over and read your notes. And don't be afraid of fucking it up. What's the worst thing can happen? You get up there and go, "I loved my mother. She was amazing. I loved the way that she made banana cakes every Wednesday. I loved this. I loved that. Actually, shit, I can't do this." And someone else reads the rest of your speech. That is real. It is real. Going to funerals where no one shows any emotion, I'm like, did anyone even care? I think we need to lean more into that. So it's okay to be ugly. It's okay to cry. It's okay to show emotion. It's okay just to be you. You don't have to put on an act. You're grieving. You're not a performer, right? You're grieving. So there you go. That's my observation for this week, how wonderful funerals are, how we need to lean more into them. Think about honouring them and not something we should dread. They should be something we're excited about, something we want to lean into, because it is the last chance we get to publicly honour the person that we loved so much. So next time you have a funeral come up in your world, I want you to think differently about it. I hope that's helpful. I hope my observation has made you think about funerals. I hope you don't have any funerals coming up. You know, that's not my intention. But if you do, might as well lean into it. Only thing you can guarantee in life, you're gonna die. On that cheerful note, goodbye. See ya.